And 97 seconds.
Baes Boyz podcast.
Everything you don't want.
Live, in person. Do it live!
It's AI this episode.
Oh.
We are the AI bots of ourselves.
Oh, yeah, we forgot to tell people we're using AI. Oh, speaking of AI. Go
buy a new BMW.
Daddy Elon created an AI, right? It's called Gronk. Something like that.
Okay.
Dude at work had it. And he was like, he goes, tell me a story about 3 little bears. And like it started making up a story.
Oh,
and it was like,
you're serious.
So then I just chimed in, I like vomit porn.
Oh.
And it started.
Get the fuck out of here.
No, bro.
It did not. Started telling bear porn vomit stories?
Yes.
Get the fuck out of here.
It was like the one female bear stood up and she had a rumble in her stomach and started to projectile vomit, and it tasted bitter. And the other 2 bears perked up and looked at it while the wind was blowing through their fur.
Oh.
I was laughing so fucking hard.
No way.
I was laughing so hard I couldn't stop. And he's like, bro, what is wrong with you? And I was like, I didn't think it would actually do that, but it was telling vomit porn stories apparently about 3 little bears.
That is the most amazing shit I've heard.
I just haven't. I
You're
guess
in
I
so
can
much
ruin
trouble.
I can ruin everything.
Yeah. Well, we already knew that, but we're in so much trouble. The fact that fuck, my head hurts. We're 1 minute and 40 seconds, and I'm ready to just leave. Listen, I'm not gonna lie. You know, I've done a little reading. I've never clicked anything, but I was on a website last night, and like they have subscription-based shit, dude. Where like you're paying to use the AI. And
well,
then
here's the problem.
It like lets you produce materials and take the materials.
Well, listen. So they came out. You know, Daddy Elon came out and was like, I funded most of OpenAI because I wanted it to be free.
Wasn't he also the one who said that it shouldn't be?
Well,
at one point.
Yeah, at one point it was like we probably shouldn't be fucking with. We
probably should shut this down.
Right.
Now that you've given it to preteens.
Right.
Too late.
But the point was he funded OpenAI for the sole purpose that it would be an open source thing. And now companies have grabbed it and taken it over and made it a for-pay subscription thing.
Which is also scary. Oh my.
Right. So the point was, it should have been an open source thing for everybody to be able to use for free.
And now they're charging people.
Giving free information to the world.
Right.
And then they've taken that away. That's fucked up, right? Because now it
happens.
Now it precludes the access for the people who could use it but don't have the money for it, right?
Right. Another way to separate the normal from the poor.
Yeah, right.
Interesting. The wealthy from the poor.
Right.
Should we talk about...
I want to talk about how I respond to people who text.
Tell them.
So...
If anybody texts Joe Skelly, they get this in response.
It's not anybody. It's just whenever you get those phishing scams or you get those like...
Random numbers that are like, hey, Jake, I haven't seen you in forever.
Right.
Aunt Sylvia said you should call me and click this link and donate some money to me.
Right. Or in 4 hours, all of your...
Oh, God.
500 documents will be corrupted or whatever it is.
Or this is Kanye West. I need $20
right.
to get out of jail.
So, right.
Again.
So the way I respond to that is I used to respond, not today, ISIS, and then I'd send it back and hit the block, and then I would just delete it, right?
Right.
But I've recently upgraded to say, I love America. There's no way you'll ever recruit me, ISIS.
Jesus.
And I send that back, and then I block it and delete it, right? And people ask me, well, why do you throw ISIS in there? It's because I want all of the software that peruses all the texts in the world looking for key phrases
to be flagged.
To flag those numbers for terrorist watch list information.
Listen, it's so that way when Brian is sitting in his office looking through all your texts, wearing his JCPenney suit, he doesn't.
Dude, I'm telling you, my FBI agent's so pissed at me. Right. Like, this guy tags everybody as fucking ISIS. What the fuck? Now we have to research them. African
running shoes, jean jackets, and telling ISIS to fuck off.
Right.
That's all he sees.
That's all he sees.
That's all he sees.
That's all he sees, right?
It's ridiculous.
Denim jackets.
Denim jackets.
Right. The old tires.
You should have got some of
tires
those.
turned into slippers.
Yep. Which I think you got those and they didn't fit any of us. Because those are anti-European sizes, apparently. African just got it all going on. They were like, European who? America makes big boots what?
Right.
America sizing patooey. They didn't give a fuck about that, bro.
Yeah, they don't.
They don't.
Whatever.
You could have cut those in two and even made it 2 pairs even.
Probably.
Almost. Put them right in there with the bet slippers.
You got to go to the bet slippers again. So fucking
Those
mad.
are some of the greatest slippers of all time.
Those
Those are some of the greatest slippers of all time, bro.
$70 fucking flip flops.
You tried to scam the scammers.
I did.
You blindly went into the swap meet in the LA garment district and just closed your eyes and picked up a pair of shoes and said, this is what I want. I'm going to give you the money that I think should be equivalent to what I want, but I'm not going to look up and take it home. And Hector sold you a bill of goods.
Yeah, he did.
Except for yours was from some guy named Tan or something. I don't
Or
fucking
Gene.
know. Or
Gin, yeah.
What we call them YYs, but yeah, same thing.
Same thing.
So
Just beware.
Just
beware. If it's too good to be true, it is.
Speaking of that, we should talk hype then.
Oh, okay.
Too good to be true.
Too big.
Way to go, Kurt.
Kurt, dude. What? Kurt, I don't think intended to blow up.
No. I'm not blaming him for that part.
All right, so why don't we start off in the very beginning and talk about what we're talking about.
First of all, I just want to throw this out there that Joe Skelly loves grunge. I do not. The other day, I saw him just walking down the road, like at the top of his lungs, singing Rooster. And I don't know what was happening, but let's just put that out there first as a pre-thing. No, but seriously, we both watched the movie Hype. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's called Hype.
So again,
it's more of a documentary, right?
Yeah. Do we even watch regular movies anymore? When's
Probably
the last time
not.
we saw a good regular? Oh, that one the other day, but never mind. We talked about that already. So Hype. So I knew from the name that because Joe Skelly told me to watch it. So it's going to be you think you're going left, but you're going right thing, which is fine. I don't mind that at all because I get bored easy. But I thought when it started out with the grunge, bro, I was like, Joe Skelly, of all the things in the world, this is the worst to have to watch. And it was punk. See, I said it.
Well, no,
it was grunge.
But it started off, though.
It started off talking about grunge, but then
it started off with punk.
Oh, yeah, it did a little bit.
Yeah. They were talking about the evolution of what became grunge.
Right. But they instantly didn't focus on how cool the shoes were. They brought up people to talk about how the media came to talk about how cool the shoes were.
Right.
And I fucking love that.
Right.
This movie Hype, if you are into grunge, you need to go watch it.
Or if you're just into old 90s music,
90s music, just music culture.
Right.
Or in general, if you like watching the evolution of culture, dude, we should have went to school for that. Why didn't anybody tell us?
Yeah, I don't know.
They put criminal justice on a board, and we were like, yes, criminals.
I'm all about it.
Bring them to justice, which is not what that degree's about at all.
No, not at all.
So that sucks. But if they were... Listen... What the
doesn't
fuck?
Show you crime scene
No,
processing.
there's not one thing. They were like, this is what old Tom gets for lunch in the cell. And I was like, dog, what the fuck do I care? How did we even get to the cell? I thought we were going to be out here banging heads.
Busting crime.
Listen, I'm not the only person who thinks that. And I met recently people from your sanitation department who were like, bro, I took this class and I had no fucking clue what it was about. Like, oh, what'd you...
Listen,
so
here's my advice. If you want to go to the FBI,
don't take that.
Don't take criminal justice at all.
Dude, don't take fucking criminal justice ever.
Right, okay.
Nobody's taking that. Except for fucking no lawyer's going to waste his time with that. If you want to be a lawyer, you go get a philosophical degree for 4 years, you bang it out with the broads, and then you got 2 years to sit in fucking law school and finish. Don't ever waste your time with that. My man, lawyer over here said go to school for something real. Get out of here. Have you ever talked to a lawyer? That's why they don't know shit except for the ORC codes. Because they went to school and fucked off for 4 years and smoked pot. And then we're like, oh, I got a philosophical degree. I better go to Okay, sorry. Shout out to our favorite lawyers. Anyway, well, you got me fucked up and lost over here about what I was saying here. We were talking about hype. We were talking about going into grunge, and we were talking about
the evolution of music.
The evolution of music and these people. Oh, what is the evolution of culture? What is that called in school?
I don't know.
There's got to be a study. It's
pop culture.
No. It's not just sociology.
It's a sociology thing.
It's a subject in sociology?
Yeah.
We got to look this up. It's been
sociology
50 years
classes.
since we've been to college. So describing what happened with society coming in, though, and probing grunge was wild.
Right, but I thought it was cool when the bands were like, these were my influences. I used to watch these people. That's what made me get into music, right? This
110%.
The best bands are the ones you never heard.
Oh, yeah. The dude was like, the Patty Whack, the Crackers, the Quack Quack Quacks, you never heard of none of these bands. And it's like...
But they were better than we ever were.
Right.
And I thought it was funny when they were talking, at the one point they were like, after grunge exploded, the record label signed any band that started with the.
Oh, dude. How horrible.
They signed like 8,000 bands instantaneously and then dropped them all within 6 months of each other, right?
They literally were talking about how people just showed up and would pull a band up. I don't remember the girl's band name because I don't care, but the three girls were sitting there.
7-Year Bitch.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, yeah, they came down. They didn't ask us one question about music. They would ask us, what shoes are you wearing? What jacket are you wearing?
Right.
Where'd you get that? And the girl was like, they go, all of a sudden you saw dudes wearing thermals under their jeans. Said, we wear that shit because it's fucking cold up here. Like, why are you wearing that in Southern California?
Right.
Which, by the way, is a real thing.
Right.
Obviously, I didn't learn anything because I didn't practice that layering either. So I didn't learn shit from that. But I've seen homies. I'm like, dog, what are you doing? I thought those people were just freaks, bro. I genuinely was like, homie, you must be a fucking lizard person because your body temperature's fucked up. You got 3 layers on. It's 70 fucking degrees out.
What's wrong with you? Yeah. You cold-blooded human being.
We were in Seal Beach earlier, bro, and dudes were surfing. Why are you wearing thermals under your pants?
Right.
Like, oh.
Maybe if you got out of the Pacific Ocean
yes,
and you put it on because you were freezing, right? But you didn't even go in the water,
in the
homie.
70-degree weather.
You must stink like homeless person when you get home.
Oh, dude.
You're wearing thermals in 70+ degree weather.
Yeah, we wore leather jackets in the sun. It's bad. You know that.
Right.
You know how that gets. But the thermals,
right?
Like, homie, your balls. I'm dying. Mine are shriveling up. Things are happening. Like, and I hadn't even thought about that look until he said it. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. And then it occurred to me, like, when I've seen that in my mental whatever, I have never once been like, hey, dog, are you cold? No, because I'm like, oh, you're wearing that for style.
Right.
Just like what she said. She goes, then you run out, go to the mall, grab a flannel, tie it around your waist, jump into the crowd. I'm like, damn.
She was making fun of goth Kmart.
Right.
Yeah, right.
You guys are, that's what they said too.
Remember they were like, it was at Paris fucking Fashion Week and they were selling it in the most expensive stores.
$80.
In New York City, right?
For a flannel.
Mannequins that were dressed in grunge look. By the most expensive designers.
Bro.
It wasn't the shit that you got from, the Army Navy store or the thrift store
right.
or the Salvation Army.
And it's still not 1,000 count thread.
Right.
Like flannel, right?
Right.
They're like, this is 40 grams of the best sheep's wool ass you've ever had. This side of the Mississippi. We just pulled it in from the Bronx River. Fucking sewed it up for you, my man.
Right. Listen, they were like, we wore flannels because that's what was at the thrift
store.
He
said it was a logging company. He goes, this is logging area. Yeah. He goes, we have flannels.
All over the place.
We're loggers.
Because we're loggers.
Yeah, you get them as hand-me-downs.
Right.
He's like, and then all of a sudden they had him in the magazine, 80, 85, 55. Bro, listen.
Oh, by the way, sidebar, you just made me think of this. I learned this about logging.
Uh-oh.
Loggers cut the bottom hem off their pants and cut a slit in the jeans. In the
oh,
bottom.
yeah, so if it gets caught in the chainsaw, it gets ripped off their body?
No.
Which
so
one?
So that it doesn't hook a branch while they're walking through the woods and trip them and make them fall on their chainsaws.
Dude, that's even better.
Right.
I like the chainsaw idea, but that's even better.
Right. He goes, if you see somebody who's a logger and they don't have the bottom hem of their jeans cut off with a slit cut in the side of their pants and the back of their pants, they're not real fucking loggers.
Really?
Yeah.
That's an old school trick, man.
Apparently they all do it, right?
I mean, not anymore.
Because you
now
think
you
about it,
now you just
they're-
buy your
they're
jeans with
walking
the cut
through
in
all
it.
these downed trees.
Yeah. Oh
right?
yeah, 100%.
And all you have to do is, how many times have you ever hooked your hem
I
on a
hooked-
tree
I-
branch and tripped? And
I hooked
fallen?
my waist today on the chair
Yeah,
in the kitchen.
listen.
literally almost walked right out of my pants.
Razor-
Right. So I'm like, fuck. Yeah, no, I get it.
Right.
I thought it was going to be the other way only, but I'm like sitting here like, no, because the chainsaw just cuts your leg off. So that doesn't
Right.
make sense.
right.
But I thought maybe a pull thing, you know,
No,
I don't
it's
know.
so that they don't
That's
catch-
great. It is a pull thing. It's just not the pull one I thought.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We should start cutting our pants
Yeah,
immediately. We're
Yeah,
not
they
gonna-
all looked like they were wearing floods. He's like, but it doesn't really fucking matter because you get long socks on and blah blah blah.
No
An
shit.
ankle or higher boot, like 18-hole boots.
Right. Yeah. That's interesting. I like that. That is a good fact. All right, back to hype.
Yeah.
So grunge becomes a thing. They were talking about. So here's my thing too. This is super. Fuck. I hate talking about this.
Why? Go ahead.
I hate talking about it because. All right, so we'll go over it again.
Here's the thing: listening to the music in grunge
okay.
or in hype. I'm sorry.
In
Made
hype,
me
yeah.
think of all the music of that era
Okay.
that I was listening to, because all the grunge bands that they interviewed, when they say what were your influences, and they're like this band and this band
Right.
and this band, all the bands I grew up that I
That
was
you
listening
love.
to right before
but
grunge popped, right?
So
I remember being in dark basements with red lighting and cigarettes and drinking 40s, listening to fucking Jane's Addiction and all this other crazy, 90s alternative, not even 90s, 80s, right? Mid to late 80s
Yeah.
alternative punk turning into grunge, right?
Listen,
so it was super,
Cranberries.
it was super nostalgic.
I don't
for
even
me.
know. That's another thing I was thinking about too. I mean, we'll talk about that part, but like, I was watching it the whole time. I was like, would Joe Scally listen to this band? I'm like, no. And then I'd hear another one. I'm like, he'd probably listen to that. And then it would go back to Rooster, and I'm like, nah, he's not going to listen to that today. But he might listen to this, right? There was a few in there. No, what I was going to say earlier is we've talked extensively about punk, like a lot. And,
Yeah.
and we've talked about what our goal is always the spirit of punk.
Well,
We
okay.
never talked about studying our shit. We don't care about that. We don't have bum dresses and little skirts on the back of our asses. We can't fit skinny jeans anymore. I know I can't. We don't have any Doc Martens. We haven't eggshelled our fucking hair in 20 years. All that
Oh,
bullshit.
by the way, here's another AKA. So Doc Martin,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
was the boot.
The original.
The original. Next to combat boots, that was the boot.
Shout out to Doc Martens for
Right.
rising a culture. Bringing
So
a
it turns
culture to
out
the top.
Doc Martens never made their own boots.
Ever?
Doc Martens started making their boots, and then they hired another company to make their boots for them.
Ever?
Right? What ended up happening not that long ago is Doc Martens started saying they had two types of boots you could get.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
You could get the original Doc Martens from England,
England.
or
Cost you an arm or leg.
You could get the cheaper Doc Martens that were made overseas.
Pleather.
Well, Doc Martens no longer makes boots anymore, but the company that makes boots, that made boots for Doc Martens, is still making them.
The fuck out of here. Making the Doc Martens.
The real, all
What's the company
leather-
called?
I got to pull it up here. So
Okay,
keep
so
talking.
I'll keep going with that. So we've talked with the spirit of punk, and we've talked about it constantly. I think in my need to put the finger on it and to understand the complexity of that culture, first of all, I still don't understand it, but I think I'm getting closer. Because again, the hardcore scene was different. When we go to these Brazen Rogue shows, I feel like people are nicer. Is that a weird thing to say? The company's name is Solovair.
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 Yep.
All right,
Those
guys, look it up if you want boots. Hey, bring
Yeah,
up
those are the
Solovair on
original-
there.
those are the
Shaggy.
original-
Bring up Solovair on there, will you,
Those are the
Shaggy?
original Doc Martens. They're still making them. You can still get them from England.
All right, we're going to check those out later for sure because I
Yep.
need new boots. But so, in talking of the spirit and the essence, if you were to change everything out of that movie and replace it with punk, it would have been the same fucking movie, mate.
Yeah, 100%.
That's the part that fucking got me. Right. And then I started looking at all the concerts and the hardcore shows that we went to. And like, I've been to a million shows, obviously all different than the ones you've been to for the most part. We have the crossovers, the hardcore shows, whatever. But like, I don't feel that we had that in our time, bro. Like, I really don't feel like that. All we did at those shows was fight. And that's it. And you knew who you were fighting. And then if you weren't fighting those guys, you were hunting crowd killers. And now I might be speaking just biasly, like, what we were doing. But like, that vibe is not there. That vibe is not there. So the joke that I've made about punk stuff, I spent forever in Punkland, come out here, and I don't see my first real punk band until I go see the Brazen Rogues. And by first real punk band, I am not saying you play 3 chords and you got a 3-man band. There's billions of those. What I'm saying is they have the heritage, the culture, the followers, the dirty beer drinking beards of every age. Right. Everybody's there.
Right.
And then the camaraderie, the love that they show, and then even the play with the band between the audience. It's such a personal thing.
So what you're saying is inside the show, everybody's cool, but every one of these people on the street would be ready to rock and roll.
What I'm saying is it's a different, it really is like almost, I don't want to use the fucking word brotherhood, but it is more of a brotherhood than hardcore ever was.
Oh, 100%.
Dog. Hardcore was nasty. Hardcore kids, they thumped each other. They beat each other. I never heard, you tell me if I'm wrong, I never heard of the culture of punk beating people up and kicking them out of the show because of the way they looked.
No, never.
Yeah,
never.
Yeah.
Never.
Oh, no.
Never.
Oh, no.
They might tease people and call them fashion punks.
Yeah, of course. And you got different versions. You got the guys dressing nice. You got the guys dressing studs. You got the guys not bathing. The hardcore show, it was just like, oh, man, you're wearing the wrong clothes. You're going to get jumped and you got to go.
Right.
That's not cool, bro.
No.
That's not cool at all. And thinking back, this is so crazy. This is so horrible. Because, again, we lived a part of history that now we're looking at. So when you're doing it, you don't think that that's something until you go back now and I'm like, oh, this is a totally different show. You go to that one show and it might look like there's dangerous people there, but they're not going to bother you at all. There really is a freedom. So this is the spirit question. How the fuck did we go from punk to grunge being still good? Because now I have I got to clip my nails. Now I have a more formal respect for grunge where I'm like, oh, you guys weren't assholes just doing fucking
it was teen angst,
drugs.
Right?
It wasn't just you guys doing heroin and shit, which is always what's sold. Right.
Right. But it wasn't necessarily. But here's the thing. It wasn't the entire scene.
Right.
I mean, there was drugs in the punk scene too, but it wasn't the entire scene.
Right. And hearing them, but the media makes it look like it.
Right.
Sid.
Oh, well,
Kurt.
Yeah.
I mean, both of them. They're both, made to look as if that's what. Oh, he's doing heroin. He's doping out at the fucking Oscars. Don't worry, dog. He's from the punk scene. That's the kind of feeling you get. And it's like, the only reason you're not doing this because you got made more money. So you're going to go home and do it in your house.
Right.
And nobody's going to bother you because you got 10 West Wings to crawl through.
Right.
It's a little bit different, right, than just being on the street. But the spirit of this grunge thing is amazing. How they were talking about, we were here, like you said earlier, to play for the other bands, to play for the people.
They said initially in Seattle, like the punk came through. The punk was a big thing in Seattle. And then the guys that were in punk bands, they were saying there was 1,000 bands in Seattle, literally 1,000 bands. Everybody was in a band. Everybody was,
and then everybody was crossing bands. They were saying that too.
Right. Everybody was dirt poor.
You saw his little tree where he marked who went to other bands.
Right.
And was like, this guy played in 3 other bands. If you look up the lineage, the dude was making lineage fucking notes.
Right. It was
and
pretty
just
amazing,
keeping track. Yeah.
And he goes, and listen, and what essentially we all just wanted to jam. We all wanted to have bands, and we all wanted to play for each other. Nobody thought that we were going to become multi-millionaires. Nobody ever expected any of this, right? And then, we were playing this music one day, and the guy was like, okay, listen, this is punk. And he played the chords, and he goes, this is grunge. And he played the same chords, but he played it a slightly different. He goes,
yeah,
now,
he
this
played
is
it in a different shape. Yeah, I watched that part.
So he was like, it's kind of the same thing almost, right?
Right.
Except now we have longer hair, and now we're angry. We're still angry like we were before with punk, right? And, he goes, it took 1 or 2 bands to really kind of blow up. And those bands that blew up were like, yeah, but we weren't the good bands. Like this band was
better than us.
Was better than us, right? And they were naming off all the bands.
Yeah, and they were talking about the contracts too, because the one record guy was like, we didn't even have contracts, and then all these companies came in, swooped all these motherfuckers up, promised them a bunch of shit.
Oh, you were talking about hey, I formed my own label to record my friends.
Mm-hmm.
And, we were printing wax and selling wax at the concerts, right? Then the big record label came in and stole my band that I signed.
Because you had no contracts.
The contract was a handshake, right?
Right. Yeah, and to see again, and listen, if all 15 of our listeners, at least 9 of you wear flannels. That's all I'm saying. I know 9 of you at least.
You know what was really cool is when they were interviewing the people, the studios that were the recorders, the engineers, the sound engineers that recorded this band, and this band. They're like, oh, this band was better than anything that ever came out, or this band was,
They said they were better than the 8-track they were being recorded on.
Right.
He's like, this band's too fucking good to be on this piece of shit 8-track. He goes, but we didn't have anything else. We did what we can. It's kind of scary. Listen, even the tech,
it was a pretty good documentary.
The tech is not that far, bro, because some of the stuff I saw in his thing, we had it in like high school. And I'm like, oh no. Like, we just had the cooler, slimmer, smaller version.
Right.
But I'm like, homie, I know what that is. That's the same thing as this. This got less options though.
Right.
And that's crazy.
I mean, but and I think that the part that people miss is they were talking about the fanzines, the music zines that were coming out, right?
Like the books or the
material. The guys the 2 companies that formed magazines about the music, that they were just selling for $1 a copy, to like all the local people that were listening to the music, and they were like, "This is how we were trying to promote all the local bands."
Right.
Was we formed our own magazine, right? And it was like writing articles about the band's newest song or how they played at this show or how they played at that show.
Listen, at this point, I'm just saying, like, does happiness just come from avoiding society constantly? Are we that podcast now? Did we just transform?
I don't know.
Did we just transform? I feel like anti-society.
Right. But again, when they were talking about the explosion of the music, right? And it was because the big labels were trying to replace the things that were falling off, right? They had gaps in their music, if you will, right? Remember the guy from K-Rock? They interviewed the guy from K-Rock.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, they would come in and be like, these are our 13, the major labels would come in and go, these are our 13 major priorities for you to push. And he's like, we'd push like the first 3 out of the 13, right?
Right.
That's what we'd push, right? But they were talking about how when they came in, they would say, all right, the guys were like, dude, we used to make an album for like $400. And these record labels would wine and dine you, right? Their A&R people would wine you and dine you and go, okay, here's $100,000 to make advance. Here's $100,000.
There's no way to beat that.
To make your record. And here's another $100,000 advance to hire the right guy to film your video. And the guy was like, we had my buddy in England film my video, and they said, no fucking way.
Right.
You can't
You're
use that.
You're going to use our guy.
You're going to use our guy. And they're like, oh, yeah, by the way, what you don't realize is that's not your money. You're now in debt $200,000 to the label.
He said they take their percentage, and then out of your percentage comes all of the tour money. So they just take their top cherry and they're done.
Right.
They get the whipped cream and your girl, and you get whatever's left at the bottom of the cup after your 10,000, 100,000, 400,000 fans have had your ass.
Right.
Which is today. I mean, if you come to current standards, there's still bands right now that are talking about how this is happening.
Oh, how they're in debt to the label.
Yeah, they're like, oh, we're touring and somehow we don't even have food to eat on the tour.
Right. Or how about the guy that he was like, yeah, we were on tour and halfway through the tour, the band we were touring with just disappeared. And we asked what happened. They're like, yeah, the label told them, yeah, you're fired. We're not supporting your tour anymore because the album didn't go platinum or whatever it was.
Fucking crazy.
He goes, you know how many, they were talking about how many bands literally put out one album
and then just disappeared.
And they still owed the labels like hundreds of thousands of dollars, right?
What a fucking scam, bro.
Total scam.
What a scam.
Right.
You can't trust any of those people.
No, it was the guy from Ministry that was talking about it. Yeah, we were on tour with this band and they fucking just disappeared. We're like, what happened to, Outback Johnny? And they're like...
Right, they bumped them.
Yeah, the label was like, we're not supporting your tour. So they just drove... He said they drove home.
Could you imagine getting that call? Because those guys fluffed them up.
Right.
They knew the whole tour schedule before they started. So you go out on a 3 or 4 month tour or whatever it was back then.
And a month into the tour,
they're like, go home, bitch.
Pretty much. But then you had bands like, White Zombie, and she was talking about, listen, we had no support. We were living in the van,
right?
Which is how the bands I loved growing up, that's how they got from city to city.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't because Black Cat Records gave them a huge touring budget.
Right.
They were just as punk as the bands I was listening to. These guys were like, hey, can I crash on your couch tonight?
I was just going to say, bro, remember walking out of shows and the opening bands having signs like, looking for a place to stay, 420 friendly, we need help tonight. Like,
right.
Bro, that's
how music got made, right? So guess what? That's what they're going back to, right? They're making it big on SoundCloud, or they're making it big on...
oh, yeah, dudes are touring out of their cars again.
And they're touring out of their cars again.
1,000%, bro. 1,000. When we take Baes Boyz on the road, that's what we're going to do. You get a Prius.
Oh, Jesus.
We need one.
Okay.
Nobody robs a fucking Prius, bro.
Oh, that's true, too.
Right.
Right.
We're going to need a Prius and a Seattle sticker.
So what? No, we don't need a Seattle. They'll be throwing bricks at the car.
I like the part where the girl was like, well, somehow these assholes just started making Seattle stickers and sticking them all over the fucking world. And all of a sudden, Seattle's this amazing place. Like, what are you talking about? This is a shithole.
This place,
we used to call
this
this.
shithole.
Yeah, what did he say? He's like, we used to call this hell for a day or hell for your life when you come here, because we rubbed all the letters off. Just says hell.
It just says hell,
like,
right?
oh. That one dude's like, I took this picture of Kurt. If I'd have known he was going to get famous, I'd have taken some more.
Right.
Like,
he goes, I would have taken 1,000 more if I knew he was going to be fucking famous.
Right. Probably used all his pictures already.
Right.
R.I.P. to our man Kurt.
All right. So overall, on this documentary, scale 0 to 10, what would you rate it? 10 being the highest.
Oh, 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fucking good.
It's got all the insights. It doesn't focus on any one thing. It follows a timeline.
Yeah.
But it's not focusing. Oh, and this is the part we wanted to get to.
You know what was crazy? They were talking to bands that I forgot existed. Because it's been, well, besides I got the fact that I got Jiggle Brains.
Listen.
When they were out, I fucking loved them. I just, when you go, but what were your favorite bands from this time period?
How the fuck are we supposed to know?
And what you do is you start naming off like the big ones because that's what sticks in your head.
Yeah. From what genre, right?
Right.
You're like punk music. Oh, Op Ivy, the Addicts,
right.
The Misfits, the Dead Kennedys. These are the bands, the t-shirts you see every fucking day. They're not the bands that are good that we're opening up.
And you were like, fuck, I remember I used to listen to that, right?
Right.
There was a ton of those bands in there. I was like, holy shit, I can't believe they're
You're like, I gotta download this.
Yeah, I gotta watch this again because this band.
I gotta watch it again, bro. You already mentioned 2 people I didn't even see in the fucking movie.
Right.
I didn't see the K-Rock guy.
Right.
And I didn't see
the guy from Ministry.
I might have seen him. I feel like Ministry guys all look the same. Long fucking black goth hair.
Yeah.
No, there was another one you said.
They had the guy that was in Soundgarden.
Okay, I saw him.
But he was also, they had all the other bands, he was
around them. Yeah.
And
he's like, oh, you're the drummer for Pearl Jam? No.
Yeah.
Not the drummer for Pearl Jam.
Yeah, right.
Like, boy, that's what you get wearing a flannel with long hair and a fucking, and a shitty t-shirt.
But and we were talking off mic, and I was talking about, like, I used to kind of not like Eddie Vedder, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was listening to him because he had that, like, West Coast Seattle. Well, he was.
I think that's the one I don't remember seeing.
Eddie Vedder was, West Coast. He was like, he went from L.A. to Seattle.
Oh, brother.
Right?
Oh, brother.
And they were laughing because he was like, people in Seattle used to go down to L.A. to make it music.
Right.
He goes, all of a sudden, people were moving from L.A. to Seattle to make it.
Oh, my God. Listen, pro tip from Joe Skelly and Tyler, I don't know, because we're studiers of the craft. Just move out of your fucking city. You'll be famous.
Right.
That's why Ghostman went from Florida to fucking L.A.
Listen, I can't tell
LA
you how
to
many.
Fucking Seattle. Seattle to Chicago.
I can't tell you how many bands from this city in particular didn't make it big in this city till they played out of the city and then came back.
I mean,
it was weird.
I hate to say it, but people don't like their backyard.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to fucking piss in their own backyard.
Right.
That's all it is. That's all it is. That's why they call it hype.
Yeah.
That's why they call it hype.
I like how you tied that all in.
So listen, come on. This is the part that kills too. It was the $80 flannels.
Oh,
it just blew my mind because
when the fashion industry started selling grunge gear.
Again, coming from where I'm from, and my timeline of this I'm thinking these people are ingrained in this, but then when you start hanging out with them, I told you, my best buddy who turned grunge punk, you're like, homie, I hang out with you every day. Your dad's here. Your mom's here. Like, why do you hate the world? Like, you are my one and only friend who has 2 parents.
Right.
And you are the one screaming anarchy the most. And yet you will not light this building on fire with me. So I'm confused right now.
So was he a fashion punk?
Oh, 1,000%, bro. 1,000. It had to have
like
been.
he went out and bought 400 safety pins and put them in his clothes,
Oh.
not to hold them together.
Yes.
But because it looked good.
Yes, that happened. That really happened. See, and now that you're identifying this, we can say this. I have been victimized to fashion punks. Anyways, moving on though, the fashion grunge guys. We were just joking about, you're wearing thermals in 80-degree weather.
Right,
like, homie,
right,
what are you
right.
doing? But I never thought about this. I just thought magically that this dude grew up wearing thermals under his jeans, and we're looking back now and it's like, oh no. And when you think about it even more so, the male clothing industry
Okay.
is out of fucking control. Okay? And I thought I was a nutter for being in that other community and just being surrounded by white dudes who wear boots that are like, we gotta have plaid shirts, big Dodge Ram trucks, and Glock shoved up every which way. Like, and I look at these dudes and I'm like, homie, I made fun of dudes wearing Affliction. I'm definitely fucking making fun of you for wearing a $90 fucking flannel that looks like it came from Walmart, but it came from LL Bean.
Right.
And that exists right now.
Or some other company, new company.
Or some other company.
Because
LL Bean's old. I don't know
Bean's
about
been
LL
around
Bean.
forever,
LL
right?
Bean's been around. But you get what I'm saying. Their shirts are $80 now, though.
Yes, they are. But they've
Which,
always,
again,
but listen,
right.
they've always been.
They've been expensive. Okay, so back to it, though. Like, our industry...
It's not like they're just new expensive.
Our industry for men, like flannels, I see flannels that are 130, 140...
Right.
And they're like, this is a perfect flannel for
Get the fuck outta
summertime.
here, bro.
This is 100 grams. My man, that's a way of saying that's a t-shirt with a pattern on it.
Some buttons.
But yeah, I forgot about the buttons because I don't even button mine up. Right. So like we're getting fucking scammed.
Yes.
And the hype people from Seattle are like,
listen.
why are you idiots who are not from logging country wearing these?
Right. Exactly. Well, it's like, have you ever heard me talk about big truck button-ups?
Oh, yeah. Big truck button-ups are, again, because I didn't understand.
It's the guy that's got the big-ass fucking pickup truck
Right.
that's perfect. No scratches. It's waxed. Right. And the guy gets out and he's got these super crisp dark jeans on and a button-up shirt and a laptop, right?
I would
Get the fuck out of here, you big... You're a foreman, you fuck. Right? You don't need a pick. You could have rolled in here in a Prius.
He could have. And parked in the next parking lot.
Right.
Didn't even have to come on site.
Right, exactly.
Don't even bring it on here.
Put your little hard hat on.
Right.
So you don't
Over
get
there.
your Christian Pierre shirt fucking ruined.
Listen, listen, I'm big on putting marks in history. I think that we have to mark grunge as being responsible for fucking up flannels and making them $300.
I don't blame the grunge. I blame the industry. The industry trying to capitalize
the industry,
on the poor people.
That's true. You're still responsible for allowing vegans to come out. But yes, the industry did not. All right, we're not okay. You know what? You're going to put it down for the grunge people, huh? All right. Well, you know what? This is why Joe Skelly's my counterpart. I'd have lit the ship on fire and let them all burn. Joe Skelly said there are some people worth saving over there.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you know.
Dude, and look, the ones that became super influential and super crazy, right? It's not their fault that they blew up.
Again, with Kurt, I'm like, my
but
man.
You can't take away.
What the fuck?
I'll put it to you like this. I'm willing to go out on a limb and say, without question, Nirvana was one of the most influential bands in modern history.
Oh, that hurts my soul.
The impact that Nirvana had on every genre of music.
I wasn't in music deep like that, so I cannot say anything. I have to go off what everyone says, so I'm accept it.
Like,
I accept
even
it.
if you go to say the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right? And you look and then when they have like look at this exhibit, and they have the thing there where you push the button to see who was their influences.
Okay.
Nirvana pops up on damn near everything.
Really?
Yeah, damn near everything. Because you got to understand, Nirvana was like, yes, there were a shit ton of grunge bands. Remember what they said? They thought grunge was over.
Right.
And then Nirvana blew up 2 years later. They're like, oh, grunge is dead. I guess we're going to go back to playing disco. Right? And then 2 years later, Nirvana exploded.
Yeah.
Right?
It's crazy, dude.
But if you listen to like the original versions of Teen Spirit, right? It's still that it's not even full grunge. It's still that punky.
Yeah. It's a little bit more,
that heavy roots in punk.
Because that's where it was coming from. That's where their influence was. That shit didn't exist, so they needed the building blocks.
Right.
They needed those base blocks.
Without a question.
I'm not going to lie to you, dude. Me and Tommy Skelly have had private conversations about designing and writing punk.
There you
I'm
go.
constantly asking him, like, hey, how did you do this? He's like, oh, watch this.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, I see this. But it's very unique. I have a newfound respect for grunge.
Okay.
I'm not going to lie. I kind of...
Watch Hype again.
I'm gonna watch it again when I'm a little more sober, maybe.
Yeah, watch it again because I'm telling you, like some of it is like, yeah, you were the poor kids, right? Who grew up in a shitty place.
Why are they always making the poor kids look good?
Because somebody has to.
But it's like the rich kids want to be us. That's my point.
Yes.
Like why is that? They want to be free?
No, because they want to associate. Because their upbringing is stifling.
My upbringing was stifling. Your upbringing was stifling. We're all stifling,
but in a different way.
In a different
right?
way. I
think
guess.
about it. We talk about all these super rich people. Why do they do crazy shit and get in trouble?
Oh yeah, because they have nothing better to do.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, you're just kind of out in that loneliness.
It's slumming.
Right.
Right. The rich kids were slumming because what they were trying to do was be a thorn in their rich parents' side.
That's cold-blooded to the original Yokes down there, but damn, I get it. That's true. I get it. And I get it. All the punks got to be all-encompassing, so you guys are a weird group. I'm going to put that out there.
We are a fucking weird group.
They are weird. They're a super weird group. Listen, I couple more questions. I think one more question, and I think I'm going to be out of here, but you're not going to start wearing fucking flannels under your pants, are you?
Oh, around the waist? What are you talking about? Thermals?
Thermals under your... what did I say? Flannels?
Yeah, I said
thermals
flannels.
under your jeans? You're not going to start wearing those.
No.
I mean, when it's cold and we're outside doing stuff, that's fine, but I'm saying like...
There's
things
better than thermals to wear.
Oh, okay. Because next month, I don't want to see... I don't want to see torn jeans with
thermals underneath.
With the little slit at the bottom. You're going to roll your cuffs down and give up our tradition and start cutting the bottom.
Cutting the hems.
Bell bottoms are back, baby. Everything's back now.
Yeah,
you can just fuck it all up now. I see kids, I see people, humans, I see human beings that I believe look of the height and age of kids, but they look like the adults from when I was a child. So it's weird because I'm like, hey, how come you dress like my mom, but you look smaller than me and you don't make no sense? Like that shit didn't look good in 98. You should take it off.
Right.
But it's back.
It's so wild.
It's back. The Courtney Cox, the Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Oh.
Soon the Ross is going to be back.
No.
I don't know, bro. I don't know.
First of all, Friends was one of the worst shows ever made. Just like, what's the one with...
I loved it.
The crazy neighbor, Seinfeld. Seinfeld was fucking garbage.
Yeah. Okay, first... Oh my God.
Yeah.
We're gonna open on that one next. Yeah. By the way, listen, we're gonna do this twice because I forgot to do it at the beginning. Then we're gonna leave. If you are listening to our podcast and you've made it 43 minutes in, thank you, first of all. Second of all,
we're not sure how you found us unless you were one of the originals.
Yeah. Second of all, please do not take anything we say seriously.
What are you talking about?
I've been getting some
gospel.
I've been getting some fucking emails lately. Somebody was like, "Hey man, do you know that's the whole different fucking historian time? And on the real, they were wearing at least 10 degrees less of this and this and that." And I'm like, "Homie, what?" And it's about a post that I don't even remember. Like people are telling me, they're like, "Dude, you know this is incorrect," and I'm like, I just read that off the side of the phone, right? Like, we just wanted to talk about it. I didn't really mean that you should tell me. I didn't think that you were going to buy a house on my advice. Like, what the fuck just happened? So please, there's no medical advice here.
No.
There's love advice. There's business advice.
This is a new AI platform.
There's a spiritual advice here. We're not trying to piss the Arthurs off. But... please, for the love of Pete,
Don't make any financial decisions off of what we say.
Yes, except for not to buy those $80
Flannels.
Don't buy any of those
We'll make fun of you.
unless it's the Reapers. All right, 30.97 seconds. I think that's it, Joe Skelly.
See you later.
Yeah.